guys to do, you're getting out your 2E worksheet. I am going to put the answers up here. I want to get through grammar very quickly, so I want you to check your own worksheet. You guys worked awesome yesterday, and I want you to maintain that when we do peer editing in a few minutes. So, hold on, let me get this up here, and you guys can check over your worksheet. Okay, at the risk of putting you to sleep, we are going to cut the lights. There we go. So I'm going to enlarge this, and I'll just keep pulling it down when you tell me that it needs to be pulled down. Okay. So we did 2. So I want you guys, and some of them, like I accidentally started doing 5. You're not, you don't need to worry about that. Okay, so look at that, and let me come around, and there's just a couple of you. Yeah, okay, Julie, you got yours?
Saltine.
Students, please pardon the interruption. I have a quick sports update. All soccer, tennis, and cross country are canceled.
Really?
Soccer, tennis, and cross country are canceled. Thank you.
Okay.
You're a cousin.
My neighbor needs it.
Okay, you guys.
Outside in the summer.
Okay, this is just a day to get through school and go home and be in sweats and watch Netflix or whatever. Okay, so very quickly, and let me stop the music. Where's? Hold on.
I love that.
Oh, I'm so glad. Here we go. So, you guys, hold on. Let's recall an adjective clause. What type of clause is it always? Is it an independent or dependent clause?
Dependent.
Hold on. Audrey, independent or dependent?
Independent.
Dependent. Okay, you got a 50-50 chance. It's dependent. So what I wanted you to do was underline the adjective clauses. So it's a dependent clause that describes another noun or pronoun in the sentence. So your independent clause always goes on top. So this first one, I is the subject, brought is the verb, I brought what game? So that's the direct object. And then we have a dependent clause that answers the question, which game? The game that you recommended. So remember that these relative pronouns are little flags that tell you, hey, there is an adjective clause coming. Can anybody name the relative pronouns?
That,
All 5 of them.
there,
Nope.
oh.
Okay, Owen?
Who, which, that, whose.
No.
Okay, let me give you a clue. It has to do with like an owl sound, if you can remember that. Davis?
Isn't it like who, why, and where?
No?
Where?
Huh?
Who, whose, whom,
Oh, I got that really wrong.
sorry. I forget.
Who, whom, whose. Jack, can you finish it? Which and that. You need to memorize those. Who, whom, whose, which and that. Relative pronouns in an adjective clause will either be the subject or the direct object. And here it's the direct object. So you is the one doing the recommending, use the subject, recommended is the verb. That is the direct object. Make sure that you are correcting this because you have a test on Wednesday. We're not going to spend too much more time on this. You always connect from the relative pronoun to whatever noun up here is being described. and the noun being described is game. Okay, questions about that? I know you don't wanna ask questions, because that means I will talk more, but I wanna make sure you understand. 6, just put your eyes on this. Does this make sense?
Yes.
Okay, let's turn it over then. And I really like how you guys worked in class yesterday, because I could come around and find some of your mistakes. So, one mistake, I have seen a number of, well, I'll talk about this one in a minute. Okay, so here's your independent clause. Pizza tastes disgusting. Tastes is a predicate, linking verb, okay? You could say pizza is disgusting, it's an equivalent. So you should have had a slash for predicate adjective. Your is a possessive adjective, and the pizza is described as which is cold. And here the relative pronoun is the subject, huh?
And you can tell that it's a linking verb because you can replace it with an equal sign. Like
With an equal sign or,
Pizza is cold, or
Yes.
pizza tastes.
or to be verb, like it.
Pizza equals disgusting, pizza is, or
Yes.
pizza is.
I think that's easier than just memorizing all the linking verbs, but it's a short list. Now, if you'll notice, I go ahead and I label the parts of the sentence. That wasn't part of the homework, but I do that because it helps me diagram it correctly. Okay, and then the very last one, my dad's sports car, which he just bought, was stolen. So, okay, I saw several people in all the classes put dads as the subject. So, Griffin, can you tell me why is dads not the subject? Number 10.
Talking about his car.
Car's the subject. Can anybody else? Spencer, can you tell me what is dads?
It's describing which car?
Yes, so what part of speech will that be?
Adjective.
Yeah, and it's really whose car. So this is an adjective. So keep in mind, you can have nouns that turn into adjectives. If you make them possessive, they turn into adjectives. So these all come under car. My dad's sports car was stolen. Okay, so did anybody in here put stolen as a predicate adjective? Okay, that's fine. I would have done it. We're gonna talk later about how do you know if this is an adjective or part of the verb. We just don't need to worry about that. Either way would have been fine. But the dependent clause, so which is the relative pronoun. It comes first, but it's followed by the subject. Who's doing the buying is he. So he bought, and I think this sounds weird. He bought who or what? Which? But you just need to know that if the relative pronoun is followed by the subject, then it's just gonna be the direct object. You just have to take that on faith. Isaac.
Never mind, I just.
Okay, and then a lot of people put just up here next to bought.
Yeah.
It's not a verb. Can you say just, justed, justing?
Yes.
No, it says when. It answers an adverb question. You didn't need to put this here, but that's where we go. And then we connected between the relative pronoun and the noun. Okay, questions about that? Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. This went so well last class. So, Sarah, can you flip the lights on? And we're gonna flip them off in a minute again. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. Your descriptive paragraph or poem that you wrote the other day, I am going to give it to somebody in this class, and you don't know who's gonna get it. You'll learn soon enough, but you are randomly going to receive some classmate's paragraph or poem. And you're gonna do an editing exercise that's worth 10 points. It's twice as much as a homework assignment. So this is not I'm gonna draw flowers and smiley faces on somebody's paper. I'm actually going to see, I'm actually gonna see your edits. So what I'd like for you to do is really pay attention to the directions that I'm giving you. Let's turn this off. So right now, everybody has a peer editing sheet, correct?
You put your name down.
No.
Who does not have one?
Now I do. Now we do.
Okay, Bryson, did you Okay. Okay, Tate, do you have one in the back? Everybody has one. So right now, everybody write their name on it. This is not MLA. I just want your first and last name. Now, on this, and you guys, this year, I am pretty passionate about you learning to follow written instructions. I'm gonna let you erase that, okay, and I'm gonna ask you to put your pen away. But I'm gonna go over these instructions with you. So, what you're going to do, you are going to highlight every adjective in the poem that you receive. So what if you don't have a highlighter? So, don't shout it out. But in a minute, when I'm passing these out, if you don't have a highlighter, very quietly and nicely ask somebody to borrow a highlighter. I also have some highlighters, okay? So you're gonna highlight every adjective. How many adjectives were you supposed to have? 12. But you're gonna find out, some of you, you didn't have 12. I was really surprised that I didn't have more adjectives when I started highlighting them. Then you're gonna put a box around any verbs or adjectives that could be stronger. And that includes banned words, because you can't have any banned words in your final draft. Okay, so you'll put a box around them. You can do that with pen or pencil. Then you're gonna circle any metaphor, simile, or personification. So each time, you read it one time, you highlight all the adjectives. Read it a second time, box any verbs or adjectives that could be stronger. Read it a third time, circle any metaphors or similes. And then the fourth and final time, you're going to look for adjectives that appeal to the 5 senses. I don't think this is tricky, but can you just look at this? At the top of the page, you will write an abbreviation for what type of sense you see appeal to. So, if you come to something that appeals to smell, SM, people who didn't listen last class were trying to label every single adjective based on sight, hearing, touch, SM. I am not making extra busy work for you. If you see one example of smell, put SM at the top. Your goal when you get your paper back, you want to see 3 types of senses at the top. If not, you need to add one. And then finally, we want to be encouraging. It is very vulnerable to show somebody your writing. If anybody says anything the slightest bit snarky or critical, or they mock someone, you will get 5 points off of this. I'll just write it on a sticky. I know that's not going to be a problem with you guys, but I need to tell you that up front. We're not going to make fun of somebody. If somebody says the lion meowed, okay, maybe they meant to say roared. We're not going to scoff at them because they blanked out on it. And then at the very end, you will write one strength you observed in the paragraph. So,
So you can write like an encouraging note.
yes, because when you give feedback to people, you always should end with an encouraging note. And I want you to be specific. Don't say, nice job, stay sweet. Write something like, you did a great job with personification. Or, I can't believe that you rhymed as well as you did. You want to be very specific. Okay, so I'm going to show you. Can you cut the lights really quick? Is that on?
Yes.
Then why isn't that showing? That's on. Okay, my technology people, tell me what's wrong. It's on the computer.
Just turn it off.
Just turn it off.
Oh, it's on. It's on. It's on.
Was it there?
It's on, it's there.
Hey.
You know what? When in doubt, Kate said exactly the right thing. Okay, here's what I want you guys to see. Here's kind of how it should look. I don't know why the bulb is so dark. Getting lighter.
Kate, what's your solution to that?
Okay, so you guys, here's my rough draft. It's messy. I've crossed things out. That's fine. I did this for myself. So I highlighted every adjective. That's what you're doing. I circled a simile. I circled a metaphor.
What about articles? Sorry.
Okay, you are only highlighting descriptive adjectives. Not articles, not his, her, yours. Descriptive. So, when I edited this, so interesting. I was like, oh, I used soft 3 times. So I put a box around that as a word to be replaced. I used a band word, big. I put a box around that. I mean, I did 4 boxes, sat, I think, somewhere. Yeah, further down, you can't see.
It's
So,
right there.
you don't need to have a ton, but be mindful of band words and words that you're using too much, okay? So that's how it should look, and then I did hearing, sight, and touch. Well, you only have to have 3, but I might try to go back and add something about smell in. Okay, do you guys have any questions? Okay, turn the lights on, and Davis, what is your question?
So we highlight every single adjective, not just 12.
No, you do.
Highlight every adjective you see. So guess what? This is also a review for the test, because on the test, you're gonna have something where you have to highlight adjectives. So the last class did a great job with this. Ask me questions. If you're not sure, is this an adjective? Is this an adverb? Okay, I'm gonna turn that off.